Hi everyone, in today's video we are going to cover the not operator and character classes of RegEx patterns. So if you're interested in this topic, please continue watching. Alright, welcome back. So let's begin with the not operator. So the way you can specify the not operator is by using the caret symbol or circumflex. Now make sure that you wrap the regex pattern inside square brackets like that. Otherwise it's going to mean something else. It's going to mean an anchor, which I'm going to cover up here in the next in one of the next videos. So this is how you specify the not operator. So let me bring over some examples that you can take a look. So let's first start off with the first one, which is this. Now, if you open and close square brackets and then begin with this caret symbol and then specify a single character like that, a Z, and if you have a string like this, what it's going to do is it's going to find the first match that is not small letter Z. So it's going to return a value of H. The first value you may have seen just now was 8, which is going to be the position of the capital letter H, and then the output variable becomes H. Okay, so next example that we have is everything except for numbers. So it's basically like the Z example, but this time we are going to put in numbers from 0 to 9, which represents all numbers, and this is going to return a value of 1, which is the first character, because the first character is not a number. And then for the next example, we have everything except for numbers and letters, and the way you can do that is by specifying the numbers like that, and then the small letters. If you want capital letters as well, then you go A to Z like that. So this time it's going to return a value of 2, and that's because the second character, this is the first one, the second character turns out to be a space that is not, which is not a number or small letter A to Z. I've got another example. This time it's going to extract this one, and that's because again this is not a number or a to Z character. So that's how you can get that value. And then this time I'm going to do everything except for numbers, small letters, and spaces, and you can specify. So basically everything you type out afterwards is okay. I'm not gonna search for these. Give me anything else other than what I specify in the square brackets like that. So this is going to return a 0 because all of the characters inside the string are either numbers, small letters, or spaces. So it returns a blank like that. So that's the not operator. So let's move on to the character classes. Character classes is going to be a very useful one. So let me bring that over. Got character classes. Let's update that. And then bring up the character classes. So these are all the character classes that we are going to go through. And let's begin with the first one. This backslash and D represents any one digit from 0 to 9. So before we used to do 0 to 9, this can be substituted by backslash D. So let's go ahead and bring up some examples for backslash D, and these are the examples. So here we have this string, and then there is a number here, right? So if I put a backslash D in like that in my needle regex or regex pattern, I'm going to get a value of 3 back in the output variable, but initially I'm going to get 18, which is going to be the position of the $3, and I'm going to get number 3 back. And then the next one, if you do backslash D, that means you want a double digit number, and that's going to give me that. Now, but if you have, for example, 999, this is still going to find a match because it just looks at the first two matches and it's going to return that value. So I'm going to get 75. If I put a space here, then I'm going to get 59, and that's how it works. So if you want a number, for example 23, and you want to get, oh no, let's put 2, and then let's go 73, and you want to get 73 instead of maybe I can put in more numbers here. You want to get 73 instead of 156. If I run this as it is now, then it's not going to get me 73. It's going to get me one of the first two characters within here. So I have to spell out that I want to put spaces before and after, and therefore in that case I'll get 73. So if I remove the spaces, this is going to get me 15 because that's the first match that had two numbers. Okay, so that's the digits, and \d represents one character that is not a digit defined by your engine's \d. So and anything else other than \d is going to be found and matched. So in this case I've got 1 2 3 4 5 Z78. So this is going to match the letter Z, and position of that letter Z is number 6, so 6th position. Okay. Now the next one, \w, is a pretty commonly used one, and this represents a word character, and it matches any single letter, number, or underscore. So it's same as this one. So here's an example. This is going to return, do a match of that, and then return that like that. Or I can put in, say, ABC. I'm gonna get, maybe I can put in a few more special characters, and I'll get a number 8, which represents 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. So that's a word character, right? So that has been matched. Okay. Next up is \w, which represents a character that is not a word character as defined by your engine. So it's the opposite of this one. So an example of that would be an exclamation mark, a special character like that, which is not a word character. It's not a single letter, number, or underscore. So if I go ahead and run it, I'll get exclamation mark back. And then the next one is / and space. This represents white spaces, including space, tab, new line, carriage return. So I had an example before this one where I had put in spaces before and after the digits in order to grab 2-digit numbers instead of grabbing the first two digits of a 3-digit number. So if I put a space and space like that, I will get 75 back, right? But I can also use the / and s to use to refer to the white space that includes spaces. So I've got some more examples. Let's go on to tabs. So I've got so I can actually put in the tab here. So let me just put in the tab and then run it. It's going to pull out a similar thing. Or got another example. There's a tab here. So this is going to find the tab, which is this one, which is in the 4th position. This is actually a tab. I think it's just the studio code that's converting tab into what looks like a space, but it's actually a tab. Okay. You can also find line breaks, so new line and carriage returns. So for an example here, which has a string value that stores some line breaks. So if I go ahead and run this, I'll get a value of 6. So let's figure out what that is. It's going to start from this bit here, 1 2 3 4 5 6, and then the next character is a line break. Obviously if I press shift and go right, then I'm going to move on to the next one, next line, and then there's a bit of a white space and all that, but this is going to be, so this is the 6th position, and then the next one is going to be a white the line break that we don't really see. So we think it's the character B, but there is a line break character that we don't really see, and that's what gets output using this \s regex pattern. So I can actually go ahead and run it, and the second message box will also put the output variable, which is going to be the line break, into my clipboard. So if I went ahead, this is the line break. If I went ahead and go Control V, I will see that line breaks are being added. So we know that the line breaks are put into my clipboard. So \b is for boundaries. This is quite useful. I've got some examples here. Boundaries represent things like spaces, so you can use backslash and S, but you can also use backslash and B, and that's also useful when you have things like the beginning of the string or end of the string. They're both going to be considered boundaries as well. In my previous example where there are numbers, so let me just comment this out and work on this example. So I've got 2 digits here, and then let's say if I put in 1, 2, 3, and then let me put in a space here, and then another space here. This is not going to find any matches, and that's because there is no space here, and you wouldn't expect spaces to be at the end of the string usually. So if I take this one out, let's see what happens if I take the last space out, then I'm going to get a match, and this match is gonna be this one here, because there's a space and then 2 digits. So this isn't very useful because I'm trying to get this 2-digit figure. So what you can here do is you can use the boundary, because there is a boundary here, which is the end of the string. So in this case, I'm going to get number 75. Now that also works for the beginning of the string. So here is a boundary. So beginning of the string is considered a boundary. End of the string is considered a boundary as well. So that's how you can use the boundary character class. So coming back to the examples that I had prepared before. So what we're trying to do here, we have 3 word characters, and I can condense this down to something like this as well, but let's just go along with 3 word characters like that. And what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to get this, right? But what I'm gonna get when I run the first one is this 3, right? So instead of the word that has 3 characters in it, I'm going to get WOR of WORD, the word. And that's because I'm not putting in any spaces or boundaries, right? So if I put in boundaries like that before and after, I will successfully get the word not that I want. Now this also works, like I said, in the example that I showed you just now, when not is at the end or not is in the beginning. So if I go ahead and run this first example, I'm gonna get a value of 1, and that is were, right? And then the next one is 16, which is gonna be not, because I have boundaries before and after not. And then that's gonna be not again, and that's because I have a space before not, and then end of line after not, which are both considered boundaries. And then the next one also not, because the beginning of the line before the word not is considered a boundary, and then afterwards there's a space that's considered a boundary too. Now I'm going to skip these because these are basically the white spaces that we have looked at, and instead of using the white spaces, if you want to specify tabs or new lines or carriage returns, these are the character classes that you can use. So this is it for today's video. In the next video, we are going to cover qualifiers. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.